To the gentleman in the plaid shirt.
Yes, you can make all the Ted Lasso jokes you want. Quick question. As of right now, you're underperforming President Trump in the polls, who's either leading or tied in Arizona. Mm-hmm. How do you plan on getting some of the Trump voters to also vote for you in the general election?
Well, I think it's great for President Trump. It shows that Democrats and independents are flocking to President Trump. They've got a very stark contrast. What they're dealing with now under, I don't know who's running our country, and what they were dealing with President Trump, which was a strong economy, safe streets, great foreign policy, no new wars. And so people are flocking to him. I feel very comfortable with our polling. It's very close. It looks good. My internal polling actually shows me up. Hey. Yeah, it does. It does. And so I feel very comfortable. I think I'm going to catch up with President Trump. I mean, we have the greatest president ever in President Trump, so of course he's doing really well. And I believe that we're going to catch up with him, and he's going to win, and I'm going to win in November. And then in January of 25, we're going to get to Washington, D.C., and get to working for the people. Your name? And
Jamie Vera with Fox News. So just like the Cook Political Report today shifted Arizona from lean Republican to toss-up. We're going to see Vice President Harris here tomorrow. Just wondering if you're concerned having Harris at the top of the ticket, if that could hurt Republicans at all, and if we need to have Donald Trump, or if you believe Donald Trump should come out here and campaign as well.
I think that Kamala Harris is actually less popular. If you can imagine this, Joe Biden is so unpopular in Arizona. I'm out talking to more people than all of you guys combined. I talk to more people every single week in Arizona, I think, than anybody. And because I'm a populist candidate who has a great relationship with the people. People don't like Joe Biden, that's pretty obvious. They like Kamala Harris even less. They understand that she hasn't done anything for the border. I don't really believe all the public polls. I've seen a lot of polls. I tend to like the ones that are the internal ones. That's the one where there's no BS involved. And so, you know, you guys can try to create, like I said, it's like a makeover show, total makeover. You're trying to say that somebody who has done nothing for the border, called herself the border czar, has done absolutely nothing, is a San Francisco liberal who destroyed San Francisco. And you're trying to now all of a sudden act like she's the biggest superstar on the planet. And you can say that all you want. And there's a reason that your viewership and your subscriptions are just in the tank right now, because no one's believing the fairy tales that you're telling. And so say all you want and try to take this horrible ticket, the worst we've ever seen, and turn it into something special. The people feel it with their real lives. They can't afford to put food on the table. They're having to go to food banks to supplement, to make ends meet and feed their family. They know what it's about. And you can bring every, singer, rapper, actor, whoever you want to bring into the Democrat rallies. It's not going to change the fact that Democrat policies just don't work. They're devastating for individuals in this wonderful state and really across our country.
Hi, Kari, Alex with NBC News. You picked up an endorsement from Karen Taylor Robson last week on primary night. Would you be open to endorsing KTR should she mount a gubernatorial bid in 2026?
Oh my gosh, you're looking to the future. I like that. I'm looking to the future as well, and I see a future with America First policies of really a great economy again, safe streets once again. That's way down the line. I do appreciate that that she endorsed me. She endorsed me right after we were declared the winner last Tuesday, election day, and I really appreciate her endorsement. She's a businesswoman. She's had great accomplishments, and I welcome her endorsement. I don't even know that that's what she's planning on doing, and so I think we need to get through this election. Would you all agree we probably should get through this election? I think people are a little bit, frankly, by the time this election rolls around, they're going to want a tiny little bit of break as we roll up our sleeves and get to work. So thank you. Who did I miss? Let me ask this, and then I'll get to you. Is that okay?
Gabriel Sandoval with the Associated Press. I'm interested to know, did Harris miss a chance to improve her standing with her standing in the state by not picking Senator Mark Kelly and picking Walz?
Well, I actually didn't realize that Walz was on the list, and when I saw that she picked him, I was thinking, is she trying to tank the ticket for the Democrats? Because I saw what happened, guys, in the summer of 2020 with Minneapolis. I've got family who lives there. They were scared to death. The city was on fire. Businesses were burning. People were suffering. He didn't do anything. And by the way, Kamala Harris was bailing out the criminals who were burning people's businesses and torching cars and attacking people. And Ruben Gallego was actually marching in similar peaceful protests, as the media calls it. He was marching in those protests, protesting the police, and he was doing all that. He calls the police the bad guys. He calls the police the bad guys. So, frankly, I don't care who you plug in. You can put Mary Poppins in there. The policies of the Democrats are destructive. This is why we have record inflation. This is why the cost of living, rent prices in some areas have doubled. That means that you guys, when you pay rent, you're going to either get a much smaller apartment or you're going to have to take on another new roommate. Our mortgage rates are nearing 8%. We can't afford gas. You go to fill up your car and you can't fill it up anymore. You can only put a little bit in because you don't have the money to do it. And we're watching fentanyl kill people. We're watching wars starting overseas. I don't care who you put into that ticket. Like I said, Mary Poppins herself could be there. This is a disastrous ticket because it's a disastrous policies that are hurting the American people. Yes. Cameron, back there.
I got a policy question for you. So back in May, the state of Texas announced you're talking about border right now, landowners compensation program. In the Senate, is that something that you would like to see on a federal level essentially for rancher landowners along the border who get money back for property damages? Is that something you would support on the federal?
Are you talking about when illegal crossers damage their property, cut their fences,
yes.
do all of that?
It's the crop damage, and then you go there, like here for all the garbage that's left over, the damages for that.
Right.
And so is that something that should happen on a federal level?
Well, I'm glad that you're asking about it. Cameron actually does some pretty decent reporting, and he covers this kind of stuff because the ranchers, people living on the border, are suffering. And they're losing livestock. They're afraid for their lives. The good news is, Cameron, starting in January 2025, those ranchers are going to have a huge sigh of relief because we're going to stop this invasion at our border. So in January, that's going to happen right away. And they're not going to have to worry about having all this damage. But we'll look at all of that. I don't want to stand up here and make a policy decision, but we want to make sure we are protecting people along the border. But the way we protect people along the border is we stop the invasion at the border. And we take all of the disastrous policy that Joe Biden ushered in on day one with Ruben Gallego cheering him on, 100% behind it. And we get rid of all that disastrous policy, throw it in the trash. We bring back common sense policy that President Trump had to truly secure our border. So that's going to happen in January. Did we miss, was either one? Yeah.
KTR News. We've seen a number of state Republicans gather behind both Harris and Ruben Gallego for support. I was just curious to get your reaction to that, and I wanted to ask, is there any concern to you that the GOP is fracturing in Arizona?
I don't think so, actually. I think it's growing. I mean, look at all these people here. Many of them are former Democrats that are going to vote Republican. Thank you. We are the party of we the people. And I think they had, 10, 11, 12 people, and they called themselves Republican. But they voted for Hillary. They voted for, Hobbs. They voted for everybody except Republicans and now they're going to vote for Kamala Harris and this Walz guy. And they're going to vote for Ruben Gallego, the most radical, liberal politician to ever run in Arizona. I think you have to maybe at that point look in the mirror and decide if you want to maybe register as a Democrat. I don't know. If a few Republicans are becoming Democrats, that's up to them. They get their vote. But far more Democrats are coming over to the Republican Party. And the party is uniting. And I will say one more thing. I got polling, and I got close to 90% of the Republicans who are with me right now. And I think it's like 88 or 89%. President Trump's got 90%, so I'm pretty close to where he is. I believe the Republicans are united around me, and they want to have secure borders. They don't want the Trump tax cuts to go away. Most people who are business owners, Republicans, don't want the Trump tax cuts to go away in January. How many of you want a 20 or 30% increase in your taxes come January? They want to have a secure border. They don't want to be starting off new wars. So I'm not worried about that. I would let them know I still do want their vote, and I welcome their vote. If they start to realize that things about Ruben Gallego that he's putting in his commercials aren't true, and they realize how liberal he is, and they want to come back over and be Republicans, we would love to have their vote. I want your vote. I want you guys' vote. When you realize how disastrous this has been for your generation, I would love to have your vote as well. Do we need one more question? Do we have time for one more? How about this lady in front here?
Hi, Carrie. Rachel Louise, Just ABC 15.
Hi.
Kind of just going off of that, you easily won last week, but it was somewhat close in just compared to how much money you raised compared to Mark Lamb and seemingly the events that you were holding, things like that.
16% is a close election. I didn't know that.
I guess just looking, not to say that you didn't easily win, like I said, you did, but with the amount of money that you were raising and the large events you were holding,
Good.
there was a closeness there. What do you do to bring in those Mark Lamb Republicans to win them over?
I think the Lamb supporters are already with me. I really do. First of all, let me educate you guys. 16% is a landslide victory, just so you know. 16% is massive. And I love Mark Lamb and I love his supporters, so I actually welcome them, and I believe we're going to get all of them. I really do. I did raise a lot more money, you're right. I think we raised 11 or 12 million, actually. But guess what? Guess how much money I spent in the primary? 0. I didn't spend a penny. I have been, since I jumped into this, focused on the enemy. And the enemy is not Mark Lamb. The enemy is actually Ruben Gallego and these socialist policies. So I ran a general election since the 10th of October when I jumped in. I've been running a general election campaign. I haven't spent money on the primary. I didn't talk about the primary. I talk about my true opponent, who is Ruben Gallego. And so you don't pour money into a race that you're already going to win. I already knew what the polling was going to be. I knew I was going to be victorious. And therefore I didn't focus on that. So I think for not focusing at all on that, I think that was actually a massive landslide victory. But if you think 16 points is a close race, then I'll take a close race. Thank you. All right, guys, thank you so much for being. Oh, did we miss you? Oh, my least favorite publication. Now, when is the Arizona Republic going to start being fair?
Kari, Ron Hansen with the Arizona Republic. You know, you spoke about your polling and how your campaign did in the primary and such, and that you have Republicans united behind you. When do you expect to see a flood of money coming in from, you know, all the various Republican organizations from Washington, or the endorsement and you know, public backing of people like Karen Taylor Robeson or Doug Ducey or others? Should we expect any of that to, you know, sort of make the case?
We just said Karen Robeson has endorsed me.
Will she be on the trail with you?
I don't know. I mean, she's running a business, and I'm okay on the trail. I mean, I think an endorsement, you know, it's never enough for the Republic, though. It's never enough. It's like a 16-point win isn't enough. You win in a landslide, and they say it wasn't a big enough landslide. You raise money. I raised $5.2 million, and they said it wasn't enough. You know, get endorsements from people, and they say it wasn't enough of the endorsement, or it wasn't a big enough endorsement. I don't know what I can do to please the Arizona Republic, but I'm not trying to please the Arizona Republic. So I'm happy with where we are. We have the NRSC has been incredibly supportive, and they're helping us run ads. We're running, I think we've got a $10 million ad buy right now. I'm comfortable with that. We have Club for Growth supporting us, and so I've got a ton of support. But most importantly, I have the support of the people of this great state, and that is where the power is. The power is with the people. So I appreciate every endorsement I get. We just announced a new list of endorsements today. We've got General Mick McGuire, former Representative John Shadig, Congresswoman Debbie Lesko, Newt Gingrich, Jerry Moyes, a wonderful businessman, Steve Twist, Amy Van Dyken, 6-time Olympic gold medalist, Jay Feely, retired professional football player and broadcaster, Sal DeCiccio, Karen Robeson. We've got a lot of endorsements and people who are endorsing us. I am not worried that Republicans aren't coming home. I know they are. They know what's at stake. They know the very fabric of this country is torn, and we have to bring it together. I'm working on not just Republicans, but Democrats who are disaffected and sick of struggling and suffering under the Democrat Party, and I'm working on independent. So thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. And if you want to, you might be able to talk to some of these folks behind me, and please start telling the story of the fentanyl crisis. It's real. It's real. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Guys, I love you. Who said that? I love all of you. Guys, look around. I mean, just look around. Do you see this standing room only? Something is happening in Arizona. Oh my gosh, this is so beautiful. This guy's been with me the whole time. Every single rally. I love it. I call him the Silver Fox. Oh man. Are we okay, I'm doing the math here. Are we 3 days or 4 days from election? 4? But we're kind of almost 3, right? 3.5 days? Whatever it is, we're gonna win big. Do you feel it? And we have such an amazing movement. Blake is, I don't want to say like a son because I'm not that old, but we've become really good friends. And, you know, Mark and Abe, we are in this together. We are in this to save Arizona. And I'm so excited about it. And I see Roxana here. You know, Roxana is a Republican former police officer running in Tempe and South Scottsdale. She's awesome. She's running against... and it's normally a Democrat district, but the Democrats don't show up for work. Shocking, I know. The guy she's running against showed up like how many days? 6 days out of a gazillion days. And he already vowed if you reelect him, he's going to not show up this session. And he's actually a candidate. I mean, that should be enough to knock him out. So they're going to vote for Roxana, the great Republican. You know somebody. And we've got Wendy Rogers down here. Stand up, Wendy. I love this woman. Wendy, come up here. I gotta have Wendy come up. Wendy Rogers is a grandma who loves her grandbabies. And she fights for Arizona. And I'll tell you what, because she fights for Arizona, you know how many text messages I got last session? You need to separate and back away from Wendy Rogers. I said, hell no. She fights for Arizona like no one I've ever seen. Just like they say, back away from President Trump. I will never back away from fighters who love this state. You want to say a few words, Wendy? Put you on the spot.
Well, it was Kari who would text me also and back me up. And it wasn't her fight, but she was there for me. And that would be at like 11:15 at night. And she would text me and say, I'm behind you. Never give up. You're over the target. Let's win this.
And Wendy's going to win so big. She's going to win so big. She said, Kari, I don't need to. I already have won. And so I'm going to work for you. And she's been in front row of every one of these rallies we've done. I had to call her up because I just want you to know, when they were attacking Wendy Rogers, the person who was standing up the most for Arizona, and they were trying to get me to back away from her, I said, that's not who I am. I don't back away from the people. If I back away from Wendy, then that means I'd back away from you. And I will never back away from the good people of Arizona. I will fight for you. So, I love you too. We just came from the border today. We were in Cochise County, and boy, they have it tough down there. The border is so complex here in Arizona. You can't just compare us to any other border. We've got the Yuma sector, we have the Tucson sector, we have what's happening on the Indian reservations. We have a situation where what they're called gotaways are coming across. We've got 5 million people or more, I believe, who've come across since Joe Biden took office. Can you believe in the first 10 minutes of his administration, his priority was to strip away an incredible border policy that President Trump had put in place? In the first 10 minutes. I mean, you'd think you'd want to settle into the White House. No, he said, we've got to make that border wide open and let everybody come across. And he did that in 10 minutes' time. We've had more than 5 million people. We've had fentanyl pour across at levels that would just blow your mind. We've finished the wall. That's right, we're going to. I was actually down there today, and there's about a block, maybe a half a mile of fencing and the materials that are for the wall. Guess who paid for those? We did. Guess who's going to take them back and use them? We are. And we're going to do that right away. Wendy and the legislature is going to help us redefine that as abandoned federal property. We're taking it back. We're going to finish President Trump's wall. Yes, we are. And we're down there. We got to have a united Republican force. Somebody said it's so rare to see, the AG, the Senate candidate, the governor candidate, the Secretary of State, all of you working together. Usually politicians are pretty selfish and greedy. Not the Republicans. We are working together as a team. And we're going to work for you. So we were down there today, and I know that as bad as the border is, it's in a really bad place right now. I have so much hope because I know we're going to win, and I know that the Republicans are willing to put the hours in, show up at work, and do the job. And we're going to do that and secure that border. And we're ready for the fight. But so every day is 521 days on the campaign trail. Not that I'm counting, but my staff told me it was that long. It actually feels like one very long day, to be honest. And, we've had so many great experiences. I actually stood up here very early on for Arrowhead women's Republican group. You remember that? You probably lined it up really early on when I first announced. And so I feel like we've been through a million battles since then. But yesterday was really one of those, kind of a pinch me day. Guess who came out and attacked me? Barack Obama. Exactly. He was talking about me, and it was so funny. I'm living rent-free in Barack Obama's mind, which is great. And I didn't actually listen to his speech until today. I was on Fox, and they were playing some of it, and I'm like, wow, I'm really living rent-free. He went on and on. And they have nothing to attack us on. Okay, they attack Trump for his tweets. I'll take a mean tweet any day. How about you? Well, they can't attack me. My tweets aren't mean. They're funny, but they're not mean. They attacked him, orange man bad. I'm not orange, and neither is he, by the way. Unless the cameras try to mess with the color. So they can't attack me on that. They can't attack me for, not being able to articulate things. I've got a little experience in that. We have great policies, so they can't attack us on that. So you know what he attacked me on? The fact that I worked on TV. He attacked me for being articulate, and he attacked me for having good lighting in my home studio. That's all they've got. I was like, oh, this is so classic. Their attack on me is that I have good lighting. This is how desperate they are. So I laughed when Obama was attacking me. I laughed when Liz Cheney came in and attacked me. She spent $500,000 running attack ads on us, and we made $750,000 when she started attacking us. And then Katie Hobbs invites the worst of the worst. I would die of shame if this man came anywhere near me. Eric Holder. This was the guy that ran the gun running scheme that ended in the death of one of our brave Border Patrol agents, Brian Terry. She's actually arm in arm with this guy, and she's thinking that's a good thing. That's somebody who's out of touch, truly. I mean, this woman doesn't know what she's thinking, but one thing did scare me. Yesterday, I heard Hillary Clinton talking about me. You might be right on that. Let's see what we can do. Let's see what we can do. You know what? The fake news is going to run with it. I don't even care what they say. But so I'm fearless. I really am. I mean, once you walk through fear and you come out on the other side and are fearless, you really don't care about all these people. But I will tell you, there was a little tinge of fear when Hillary Clinton started talking about me. I said I went on Fox, I said, I just want everyone to know I'm in perfect health. We've recently had our car serviced and the brakes are in perfect working condition. And I am not suicidal. Let the record be shown. Hillary and Bill, just stay away from Arizona, okay? So I'm joking now. We're a few days away. I'm a little stir crazy from all the craziness that's been going on. But I think you all know where we stand, where we Republicans stand. We want common sense solutions, and we need them. We have a wide open border. I'm the first candidate in the governor's race to start talking about that. When I got into this, there were a few people who were in politics who said, just don't talk about the border. Don't talk about Trump. Don't talk about COVID. Don't mention the vaccines. And I'm like, that's everything we care about. Get away from me. We're going to talk about what people care about. We're going to secure the border. Starting on day one. We have to. We're going to stop the flow of fentanyl. We are going to fully fund our police. Restore law and order. And you see these amazing, beautiful, precious babies over here? We're doing it for these guys. We are here, all of us in this room. I want you precious kids to know, each and every one of these adults you see here, all of us old people, we are here for you guys. Because we love you guys. How many mama bears, papa bears, grandma bears, and grandpa bears are in this room? Are you voting on Tuesday like your grandkids and your babies depend on it? What they're doing to our kids is what I think got a lot of moms and dads involved. They just told me the other day when we were looking at our numbers, they said, guess what? The suburban moms, the mama bears are moving Republicans so fast. The Democrats' heads are spinning. And it's because the left did the stupidest thing in the world. I mean, you'd have to understand nature. You don't get between a mama bear and her baby cub. It's the most dangerous place in the world. And when you do that, we're going to rip you to shreds. Rip you to shreds. So we found out, and people like Wendy know this, she worked with Katie Hobbs when Katie was in the legislature. Katie Hobbs voted against the border wall. She voted against the virtual border wall. She voted against funding the border strike force to save us from border crimes. Twice she voted against that. At the same time, she put her name on legislation, sponsoring legislation to introduce sex education starting in kindergarten. I don't even think Democrats are for that, right? That's sick. I know, call it what you want. If he said she's a pervert, maybe, I don't know. That's degenerate. That's a degenerate. And I'm going to tell you this. I don't have a 5-year-old anymore, but our precious kids, if any adult wants to talk to these precious children. Are you 5? This little precious guy, he said, stand up, sweetie. Did you see how precious this guy is, guys? He's 5 years old. He's probably 6. And I don't want to get graphic here, but you know what I'm talking about. Anybody who's an adult who wants to talk to these precious kids about that should be nowhere near a school. And that's what Katie Hobbs wants. And I couldn't figure it out. I thought, why? And why is she supporting on her website? I don't even know what they call it. They've got some fancy gender affirmation surgery for our children. She supports that. And I thought, why would she do that? She's a mother. Her husband, turns out, we find out yesterday, is a child psychiatrist who specializes in transitioning our children. She's making money off of it. It's disgusting. Listen, I have a compassionate heart, and if someone's dealing with that issue, I have compassion. But keep it out of our kids' schools. Keep it out of our kids' minds. Don't brainwash our children, and we're going to change things up. If it's okay with you, we're not going to teach that garbage in school. Are you okay with that? If it's okay with you, we're going to get back to some of the basics, reading, writing, arithmetic. Is that okay? I'm a product of public school. My father was a public school teacher. He was a football coach. He taught history and government and the Constitution, which we need to teach a little more of lately. And God rest his soul, I think he would be pretty shocked at what's happening in America. But we have a real opportunity on Tuesday to turn this whole thing around. We took a wrong turn a long time ago, and we need to get back on path and get going in the right direction. And I have so much confidence and faith because I'm seeing a lot of people out on these rallies we're doing. We do sometimes 2 and 3 a day. And I ask people, go back 4 years ago. Would you have found yourself in the middle of the week, although we're on Friday now? Just tell you, we have the same social life now. Friday nights, we're rallying. But, you know, we have people who show up on a Tuesday night at 6 p.m. And I say, how many of you 3 or 4 years ago would have found yourself coming to listen to politicians? Raise your hand if you would have. There's a few of you. There's a few. Wendy, you probably would have. No, Wendy wouldn't have either. There's a few of you. Look at this crowd, fake news. 3 or 4 years ago, none of these people were in it. This is how awake America is right now. Wide awake. And so we're ready for a change. We're ready to get back to some of the basics. We're ready to get back to the America that we know. And we want to make sure that these precious babies over here have the freedoms we had, the liberties we have, the rights we had, and the America that we had. And we're bringing it back. Is anybody ready for that? I am. I just love this crowd so much because I see Arizona. I see people who've been here forever. We've got some probably 3rd and 4th, maybe 5th generation Arizonans who probably have some escapees from California here. Got a few. Someone went like this. The blue states are escaping. I think there's a whole new industry, Wendy, that we can capitalize on. It's called blue state ignorance. And as the blue states push people away, drive people away, they're searching for a common sense state, and they're coming to Arizona. And we can actually capitalize on the businesses that want to flee these states. But I have a question for you. How do you get those businesses? You got to go talk to them. And if you've got an opponent, my opponent won't even stand on a stage with me and debate. She's a coward, and I think she's insecure because she can't communicate. She will not debate. She would not debate me. And that, it's not, maybe she's afraid. It's not about me. That to me, I don't care if she disrespects me. It really doesn't bother me. I do care that she's disrespecting you and the people of Arizona. A debate is a job interview. And if you don't show up for the job interview, you don't get the job, right? And so, can you imagine, we're trying to bring some companies who want to escape, all these states over. And she, when she was thrown a softball question at a forum that she finally showed up for, by the way, but she put all sorts of restrictions. She said if Kari Lake's going to be in the building, she has to park a block away. This is true. She has to enter through a different door. We have to put drapes up in the hallway so I can't even catch her glimpse. I thought, am I that scary? So she shows up for the forum, and they throw her softball questions. They ask me the tough questions. They throw her softball questions. One of them was, name one good thing about the Latino community. Latinos for Lake, right. Can you imagine? Wendy's never been asked a softball question. Can you imagine being asked, just name one good thing about the Latino community? And she sat there for a minute and a half. I don't, un poquito. She said that. Which means a little, just a bit. And it was so embarrassing. And my husband is Latino. My children are Latino. They were horrified. They said, is that the best she can do? Honestly, Mom. Honestly, Mom. So can you imagine someone who can't even handle a softball question going to bat for Arizona, trying to bring businesses here? Having to go up against great governors like Ron DeSantis and Kristi Noem and Glenn Youngkin? We're going to get our clocks cleaned with someone like that. Not to mention that she has been twice convicted as a racist. I don't know if you know that because the fake news won't report it. Twice convicted racist, costing Arizona nearly $3 million because she paid a woman of color, a single mom, $30,000 less than the men in the office doing the same job. And the woman found out about it and said, wait a minute, why are you paying me less? And Katie Hobbs, rather than saying, let's remedy this right away, she fired her. And she lost 2 court cases. When she lost, that means we have to pay for her racism. And we're paying nearly $3 million. And I'm only telling you that, not because I want to talk about Katie Hobbs, I don't, but the fake news media won't cover that. People need to know, you're right. I saw her with a group of African Americans, and I thought, they don't know. And here we have Barack Obama showing up, ignoring her racism, trying to convince people to vote for a twice convicted racist. It's really despicable. We're not going backwards. Arizona loves everyone, and we're not going to discriminate in Arizona. We're not discriminating in Arizona. We're not discriminating based on your skin color. We're not teaching our children to be racist in school. We don't care what your background is. We don't care what zip code you grew up in. If you love freedom, if you want to work hard and achieve the American dream, we want you to have it here in Arizona. Yeah, thank you. So I want to talk about a couple more policies real quick, because these are policies that I think, I know things are good up here in Arrowhead, but we've noticed in some parts of town the homeless population is growing. Have you seen it? Is it happening up here in Arrowhead? We're turning into California, this guy says. We're not going to turn into California. We're going to stop that. And this is why I came up with a policy to combat chronic street homelessness. We got to do it. We need to get people help, and we will provide help, drug treatment, mental health help. But we're no longer going to allow people to live in a tent on the street using drugs. It's not compassionate. That's not compassion, guys. The policies we have in place, many of these policies put in place by leftists, have been enabling people to continue to fester, use drugs, and fall further into despair. We're stopping those, and we're going to start lifting people up and getting them help. And we're going to start showing some compassion for the hardworking, tax-paying people who want their streets and parks back. We want to enjoy our streets. So we will, with tough love, get people into treatment. If they refuse treatment, they're going to find that Arizona is not a very easy place to live, because we're not going to put up with this anymore. We want safety. We want safety. And we're going to fully fund our police, go back to broken windows policing. That means we don't look away from crime, we address crime. And finally, I'm so excited about this because, as I said, my dad was an educator. I went to public school, and I really think this might be the way to help save public school. We fund the student, not the system, which is so awesome. So awesome. And the public schools, some of them are upset about it. Katie Hobbs is upset. She wants to force your kids into a school that's failing. But we're going to do something that is the American way, introduce competition into school. And that's going to improve schools. And so when you take your kids out of a school that's not working for them and you start moving them to one that is, pretty soon that school that's not working is going to have to reassess. And we want to help them reassess. We want to bring back trade school training, vocational training, and career certification right there in high school. so our kids can get out of high school ready to take on the jobs that are out there. There's some good jobs. How many of you had skill training in your life, trade skill training? Okay, these are the really smart ones. They're probably the richest ones in the room, by the way. You can make more as an electrician than an architect. We need electricians, we need plumbers, we need truck drivers, and we need to start giving our kids the skill training they need to get the good jobs out there. And that will propel our future. So I just want you to know, I know we're like 3 days away. I know we're exhausted by what's been going on the last few years. How many of you wake up in the middle of the night sometimes thinking, can it get any worse than this? Well, I'm here to tell you, when you vote on Tuesday, it's going to start getting better fast. Fast. We're turning it around, guys. We're turning it around. We're going to vote for common sense policies. The new Republican Party is not the party of Mitch McConnell. It is the party of we the people. We the people. And when you elect me to be your governor, I'm going into the governor's office, and guess who the boss is? You. You guys are the boss. I'm listening to you. That's why I'm in this. I didn't get into politics for fame. I've already had that. It's overrated. And I'm not getting into it for fortune. There is absolutely no money in being governor of Arizona. I'm getting into this because I love you. I love Arizona. And a little bit selfishly, I want a good future for my kids. And your kids. So let's do some heavy praying in the next 3 days. We got to start bringing God back into our lives. Anybody agree with that? We got to bring God back into our culture and God back into our hearts. And we got to vote on Tuesday like our lives depend on it. And our babies' lives depend on it. Are you ready to vote? Are you ready to call your friends and get them to vote? Are you ready to save Arizona? Woo! I love you guys. God bless you all. We'll see you Tuesday. We have been working nonstop to put together a team. And we are officially launching the largest, most extensive ballot chasing operation in our state's history, and frankly, possibly in American history. We are going to start chasing ballots like you've never seen. And I've got an army of moms and dads and citizens behind me who are ready to chase ballots. Because if it's just a ballot that matters, then we can chase ballots too. And we're going to do that. So we have taken, and we've got millions of dollars committed. We have thousands of volunteers who are dedicated to this. We are better at doing everything, better than the left at doing everything. We know we have better candidates. They put forth people who can't even string 2 or 3 words together. They put forth people who aren't even healthy enough to hold office, who aren't mentally healthy enough to hold office, because they can't find good people who actually will push the garbage they're pushing on America. And they will, as we've seen, do anything possible to stop we the people from taking back our government. But we the people are going to stand up. We've been playing checkers, they've been playing chess, and we're going to start, we're going to show up to a knife fight with a gun, not a knife, okay? We are going to take our massive movement, and we're going to make sure that we employ every single person in it, volunteers, mothers, fathers, individuals, students, even the kids are involved, because it's their future that we're fighting for. That we push the envelope, the legal envelope, as far as we can push it. And at the same time, we are going to continue to fight our court case. We're not stopping here. We're not stopping with one judge in Mesa who's ruled against us time and time again. We're going to keep going. And we know that the people of this great state want me to stay in this fight. The people of this great country want us to stay in this fight. And we have proof of that. We know it.
With the Associated Press, I'm interested to know, did Harris miss a chance to improve her standing with her standing in the state by not picking Senator Mark Kelly and picking Walz?
Well, I actually, I didn't realize that Walz was on the list. And when I saw that she picked him, I was thinking, is she trying to tank the ticket for them, for the Democrats? Because I saw what happened, guys, in the summer of 2020 with Minneapolis. I've got family who lives there. They were scared to death. The city was on fire. Businesses were burning. People were suffering. He didn't do anything. And by the way, Kamala Harris was bailing out the criminals who were burning people's businesses and torching cars and attacking people. And Ruben Gallego was actually marching in similar peaceful protests, as the media calls it. He was marching in those protests, protesting the police, and he was doing all that. He calls the police the bad guys. He calls the police the bad guys. So, frankly, I don't care who you plug in. You can put Mary Poppins in there. The policies of the Democrats are destructive. This is why we have record inflation. This is why the cost of living, rent prices in some areas have doubled. That means that you guys, when you pay rent, you're going to either get a much smaller apartment or you're going to have to take on another new roommate. Our mortgage rates are nearing 8%. We can't afford gas. You go to fill up your car and you can't fill it up anymore. You can only put a little bit in because you don't have the money to do it. And we're watching fentanyl kill people. We're watching wars starting overseas. I don't care who you put into that ticket. Like I said, Mary Poppins herself could be there. This is a disastrous ticket because it's a disastrous policies that are hurting the American people. Yes. Cameron, back there.
Holy smoke. Hello. Wow, wow, wow. This room is electric. I know you're not here just to see me. I think there's somebody coming up that you're really excited to see. But do you feel this energy in the room? This is electric. This is exactly what terrifies the radical left and their war machine. I call them the propagandists over in the media, because there is no countering this energy. There's no saying it doesn't exist when you can feel it like this. And it's real. I love you too. I love you too. It's real and it's here to stay. This energy isn't going anywhere. And frankly, there's not enough fake news smears and phony ballots in the world to stop the number of fed up Americans who are going to show up at the polls come November, right? And over the next 8.5 months, yes, we're down to 8.5 months now, the people in this room and the people across America will devote our time, our money, and all of our energy to saving this republic. Because if we are not willing to make those kind of sacrifices, then we will, as Ronald Reagan said, fall into 1,000 years of darkness. Sometimes it feels like we're already there, doesn't it? But we're not. We're not there. And we can't give up, not in the fourth quarter. We are about to witness an American revival that is on the horizon, and we, the people, are going to be leading that revival. You know, when I was 18 years old, just a few years ago, I was inspired to register as a Republican by a man named Ronald. And thanks to a man named Donald, I was inspired to step into the political arena and run for office. He's inspired so many. Ronald and Donald, they may be a little bit different in tone, but Reagan and Trump were both the perfect man for the moment. I remember it vividly. I was just a kid when Jimmy Carter left America in an ash heap, and Ronald Reagan inherited that. But it was his calm optimism and, frankly, a little bit of humor. We always loved that brought us together as Americans and inspired us and reminded us that we could get through that difficult time if we stuck together. And then nearly 3 decades later, a man with golden hair came down a golden escalator, and he gave us another reminder. Donald Trump was exactly the man we needed in 2015, and he's exactly the man we need today for the job. Thank you. You guys are too kind. Thank you. You know, I like the bull in a china shop ideology. I like a strong man. We got way too many weaklings out there. Let me hear from the ladies out there. We're tired of the beta men. We want some alpha men. And we got a #1 alpha man in Donald J. Trump. I think we've got some pretty strong men in this room as well. And that's what is going to get us through this difficult time. You know, I don't really care if he pissed off the fake news. I really don't. Those mean tweets brought us world peace. They really did. And let's face it, these people in the fake news, the propagandists, they are people like at the Washington Post. Remember, they are the same propagandists who called terrorists religious scholars, and they call parents domestic terrorists. These people are off their rocker. So I'll tell you, these guys, you guys back there, you lie about President Trump all the time. You have been on an 8-year mission to destroy the man who's fighting for us. 8-year mission. But the good news is, guys, I've got good news for you. Nobody is reading that garbage anymore. And they know it. They're feeling it. Have you noticed lately you're hearing about all of these layoffs in the fake news? Hundreds of people. Yeah. Listen, I want low unemployment numbers like we had with President Trump, but I'm okay if we have high unemployment in the fake news. Maybe you guys, once your fake news operations collapse, maybe you guys can go learn to code. Maybe they can learn to code. Under President Trump, we had a historic economy. We had law and order. We had a secure border, energy independence, world peace. Inflation was not an issue. Record low mortgage rates, record low unemployment. We were safe and secure, and we were prosperous under President Trump. And that safety and security has been destroyed in just a few years of Joe Biden and his destructive policies. As a mother, nothing disturbs me more than knowing that my beautiful state of Arizona is controlled by the narco-terrorist cartels. I don't like knowing that Arizona is the hub for human trafficking, child sex trafficking, and drug trafficking. It's frankly horrific. And I know you all see it, whatever state you're in, you are feeling the effects of this wide open border. But think about this. We sent an army of young boys and girls, our young men and women, off to foreign lands thousands and thousands of miles away under the false pretense that there were weapons of mass destruction. Guess what? We have a weapon of mass destruction right here in our country, and it's called fentanyl. And it's time we fight that. One of the most difficult things that I've experienced in the past few years on the campaign trail has been talking to mothers and fathers who've lost a son or daughter to fentanyl poisoning, or talking to a child whose mother is no longer around because she died after taking a half a pill that was a counterfeit pill. We've got to stop what's happening at our border. We have to do it. And I know there's a man who is bound and determined to do it, and his name is Donald Trump. That's why I'm behind him. And I want to join him in Washington, D.C. to turn this nightmare scenario around. And I'm glad to know that he, along with me and many others, support saving our homeland. And the only way to do that is to return these people who are invading our country back to their homeland. Anybody who has crossed our border, these foreign armies who have crossed our border, must go back to their homeland. It's going to be the largest repatriation campaign in the history of America. I will be the fighter for the people of Arizona, a fighter who will secure the border, stand up to Washington, D.C. corruption, cut taxes, confirm conservative Supreme Court justices, and end Chuck Schumer's reign. And I, along with President Trump, will demand accountability for all of this money, all of our treasure that we're sending to fund endless wars overseas. I will always prioritize feeding the American family over the war machine. And I know that the best investment this country can make in peace and prosperity is to the American people. You know, Americans in Flint, Michigan, still don't have clean water. Americans in East Palestine, Ohio, are still living in a chemical wasteland. And Americans in Hawaii are still surrounded by ashes. Imagine if we would have used the money we've been pouring into Ukraine, into that black hole called Ukraine, to solve America's problems. USA! USA! Yep. Starting in January of next year, we're going to start putting the USA first. We need honest people to run for office, and you all know that I can't be bought. I walked away from a 7-figure contract when I told the corporate news that I wouldn't lie for them. My integrity was worth more than a paycheck, and I wish these people would do the same. A year ago, I stood on this very stage and I told you that somebody had come to my house, come to my door, and tried to bribe me to stay out of politics. He said he was representing some very powerful people back east. Did you all hear about that? They wanted me out of politics, just like they want President Trump out of politics, by the way. I keep thinking about that line, very powerful people back east, because he mentioned it a lot, that there were some very powerful people back east. Here's the problem. Wall Street has very powerful people back east who are making deals for them. Big Pharma has very powerful people back east making deals for them. Military-industrial complex has very powerful people. You know what? I think it's about damn time that the people of this country, the American people, have some powerful people back east working for them. And come January, you and your families will have some powerful people back east fighting for you. Not for endless wars, not for big pharma, not for the big banks. I can name 2 powerful people back east who will work for you, and I know there's an army more. Donald J. Trump and Senator Kari Lake. Guys, I want to first tell you the America First movement, though, is truly the biggest movement. I don't need to tell you that. I see it as a movement that saves our nation. But we've got to do everything we can to get all Americans on board. Are you willing to welcome independents? Yes, we are, aren't we? Are you willing to welcome disaffected Democrats who don't recognize their party? And they're tired of this slide into Marxism. Are you willing to welcome them into the America First movement? Yes, we are. Then for goodness sakes, we've got to heal some of the rifts in our own party. Lincoln said a house divided cannot stand. The media wants us divided. The left wants us divided. We don't care if you woke up 20 years ago, 20 months ago, 20 days ago, or if you finally woke up 20 minutes ago. We welcome you into the America First movement with open arms. Truly. If you love secure borders, if you want a strong economy, if you want peace and prosperity, there's a good chance you are an America First patriot and you just don't know it. I do want to leave you with this, because I know that sometimes it gets scary, what we're dealing with. We're human. But God is with us, and He's so moving mountains for us right now. I want you to know that God does not make mistakes. I think He put me here for this moment. I know He put you here for this moment. He put all of us here at this moment. Just like our founding fathers back in 1776. We were born for this moment. You may not think you can make a big difference, but you can. You have to use every gift God gave you at this moment to save this country. Register people to vote. Knock on doors. Get involved with the campaign. Anything that you care about, get involved and help President Trump. If you're in Arizona or anywhere around the country, help me. You can go to my website, karilake.com, and find out how. We all have a role to play in this fight. We've got 8.5 months to save America, and I know we are going to do it. I know it. And this time, and just think, this time next year at CPAC 2025, we are going to have a lot more to celebrate. It's going to be a huge celebration. I'm ready to make America great again. Are you? Let's do it, CPAC. Let's do it, America. Thank you. God bless you. And I love each and every one of you. Let's go, Trump 2024.
Kari Lake.
Welcome. Hello. Whoa, look at this crowd. I cannot believe it. Guys, is this your social life now? Well, then we have the same social life. And guess what? We're trying to save our country, and that's a pretty good social life to have. Thank you so much. Are you ready to go out tomorrow and prove to the world that New Hampshire wants to save America? Who's ready to get up extra early and go out and vote tomorrow for President Donald J. Trump? All right. Who's ready to finally have a secure border and stop the invasion? You know, I love so much New Hampshire. I'm from Iowa. I live in Arizona, in a border state, as you know how messed up the border is right now. But I love New Hampshire because you have sensibility. You can tell you guys work. You show up on Monday early for work. You work all day. You work all week. You do everything right. And you just expect your government not to screw you over. It's pretty simple. And we're getting screwed over right now by our government. I don't mean to sound so harsh, but what's happening on our southern border is messed up. And we're going to go out tomorrow in New Hampshire. You're going to go out tomorrow in New Hampshire and send a loud message to these fools in Washington, D.C. that we've had enough of a wide open border and an invasion on our southern border. We're done. And it's all going to lie on you guys tomorrow. We saw what happened in Iowa. What a great victory for President Trump. You know, in the fake news media, they don't cover it right. The real story was the absolute humiliating defeat of Nikki Haley. Humiliating. The most humiliating defeat in Iowa caucus history. But the media acts like it's still a race. Guys, it's not a race anymore. And tomorrow you guys have the ability to go out and send Nikki Haley packing it back to Davos. Who's ready for that? Because the Republican Party is now the party of the working class man and woman in America. The Republican Party is no longer the party of the warmongers like Nikki Haley. The Republican Party is the party of truth and peace, and we get that with a man named Donald J. Trump. And I'm ready to get him back in office. Are you? I can't wait. I live in Arizona. It's one of the most beautiful states in the whole country, and I'm absolutely horrified by what's happening on our border. It is not okay that 300,000 plus people are invading our nation every single month right now at our southern border. It's not okay. It is not okay that we have fentanyl pouring across our border. I don't like, as a mother, knowing that my state is the pipeline for the most dangerous drug we've ever known, fentanyl. It's killing a young generation. And if you don't think this is planned, then you need to do a little bit of history. You need to read your history. If you don't think you can bring down a country and a civilization with drugs, then you need to look into the opium wars, because that's exactly what's happening right now in our country. We're being poisoned by this deadly drug. It is a weapon of mass destruction, and there's only one candidate running for president who's going to put an end to it, and his name is Donald J. Trump. I was going to say it rhymes with superhero, but he really is a superhero. Donald Trump is a superhero to the moms and dads in this country. I'm just a mom, okay, guys? I'm a mom, and I'm going to be honest. I'm a little selfish today. I want my children, Ruby and Leo, they're 19 and 20, to have a future. And if we keep going in the direction we're going in, my kiddos, your grandkids are not going to have a future. You guys are the live, free, or die state. Gosh, I love that. I love that. Can we borrow that motto and make it our national motto for the next year? Is that okay? Because honestly, we're in a live, free, or die moment. We either win this, we either win this election and get President Trump in office, or we're not going to have our freedoms and we're not going to have our country. I just had some snarky leftist reporter do an interview with me. And I was very nice. You know how I am. I'm always nice. And he said, "Is Donald Trump too old?" I said, "No, age isn't a factor. It's cognitive ability." And then I had to school him because I'm sure he didn't get a proper American history education. And you all do because you're here in New Hampshire. You guys are cut from the same cloth as our founders. You have their DNA in you. Please remember that one of our greatest founders, Benjamin Franklin, at the age of 81, helped craft one of the greatest documents ever, the U.S. Constitution. And when he came out while working on that, a woman stopped him and asked him, at the age of 81, mind you, she said, "What kind of a government are you giving us?" You all know what he said? "A republic, if you can keep it." New Hampshire, we are in the if you can keep it phase here. Are you willing to help us keep it tomorrow? Are you willing to get up and vote like your lives depend on it? Are you willing to go out and vote like this nation, this republic depends on it? Because it does. We need you tomorrow. Arizona needs you to send a loud and clear message that we want Donald Trump back in office. Every single state in this nation needs you. We are counting on you. We love you. Let's live free and let's vote tomorrow and get Donald J. Trump back in the White House. I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, man. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Wow. Oh, the heck with the speech. I don't need to do a speech. Thank you guys so much. Hello, Arizona. Unbelievable. Look at this crowd. It's amazing. This is all the way up to the rafters, by the way. All the way up. Look at that up there. Hey, everybody. Oh man, President Trump, we're going to blow his mind today. This is amazing. Thank you. Wow, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm speechless. I'm speechless for the first time in my life. I'm speechless. The fake news media probably likes the thought of me being speechless. But I'm about to get wound up. Is that okay?
We don't need to bus people in. We don't need free concerts. We're here because we love America. Oh, I think I want to speak to my old friends in the fake news because, you know what's funny? They've been trying to say specifically that in Arizona, the MAGA movement is dying. Do me a favor, let's let those guys back there in the fake news know that MAGA is alive and well in Arizona. Let them hear it. Oh, it's funny. It's actually pretty funny. It's actually pretty funny because they're saying that MAGA is dying, but you know what's dying right before our eyes? The fake news is dying and the propaganda. They're made-up narratives combined with their bogus polls in their attempt to take the oxygen out of this movement. There is no suppressing MAGA. You can't suppress us. So we're not going to let them take this amazing energy in this arena out. We've got to turn them off. Are you okay with that? Turn them off. Turn the TV off. Get rid of your subscriptions if you're still getting the newspaper, because it's not worth it. We need this energy for the next 2.5 months, and we can't let any of it die down. So, by the way, thank you for the beautiful happy birthday song. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. It was 55 years ago. Thank you. Oh, we got the rowdy ones over here. Oh, man. Okay, 55 years ago, in the summer of '69, my mom, Sheila, delivered her 9th and final baby, yours truly. I wish that my mom and my dad were alive right now to see this. I really do. My mom was a nurse. My dad was a very successful head football coach. And I will tell you this, speaking of football coaches, we've heard a lot about them lately. Coach Kari Lake supplied the young men that he was coaching with helmets and shoulder pads. Unlike this assistant coach, Tim Walls, who supplied his young men with tampons and maxi pads. What the hell? What the hell? That is the most absurd and twisted thing I've ever heard. I do know though, if my parents were alive today, they would be right up here in the front row, right by my daughter. And they would be cheering me on with a MAGA hat and a Kari Lake for U.S. Senate t-shirt to help celebrate my birthday. I really know that. So today I am officially, once again, 29 years old. But I somehow have 55 years of experience under my belt. No, but really, in all seriousness, there's no place I would rather be than right here with all of you on this day, and with the greatest president in the history of this country, Donald J. Trump. I'm worried we're going to wear out our energy. We got to save some of this because the man you're here to see is coming up next. So I have to tell you a story, okay? This is actually the second birthday that I have spent with President Trump. On this day 3 years ago, I spent my 52nd birthday in New York City.
Now, of course, I'd met President Trump before. In my previous life, when I was working in the news, I had the privilege of interviewing President Trump when I was one of the last remaining fair and honest journalists. But this time, a few years ago, I got to connect with him for the first time in my new life in politics, and it was an experience I'll never forget. I was at Trump Tower. I took that famous golden escalator up. I hopped onto a golden elevator and shot up to the 26th floor of the beautiful Trump Tower in Manhattan. And as I was looking out on that skyline, much of which, contrary to a well-known politician who said, "You didn't build that," Donald Trump had indeed built that, a big part of the skyline of New York. And I thought to myself, so is this what Frank Sinatra sang about in New York, New York? This was Trump Tower, this was New York City. If we could make it there, you can make it anywhere. Jeff and I were there. We were led into his office, and behind a large, beautiful desk sat a larger-than-life Donald J. Trump. He welcomed us. And immediately we launched into a recap, and he remembered a recap of a Turning Point event that we had both attended about a month earlier. And he talked about the huge, loud, incredible, warm applause that I had received when he called out my name from you, the people of Arizona. And he said to me, I'll never forget it. He said, "Kari, that wasn't a poll that you hire a pollster to do. That was a real poll. That was the people telling me who they support." Right? And then he began asking a few questions about how the campaign was going, polling, about policy. And I'll be honest, I was able to answer all of them with no problem, except one. A very important question that took Jeff and me completely off guard. And my husband, I don't know where he is. Are you out here, Jeff, somewhere? Come here, hon. Say hi to Jeff, please. Do you remember what the president asked us?
He asked us how long we'd been married.
That's what stumped us. Jeff forgot. And to Jeff's benefit, I also forgot. Now, we turned to each other and we started counting and doing the math, and we came up with the figure 23 years. So we'll never get that wrong again, will we? I love you. I love this man. Thanks, hon. 3 weeks ago, Jeff and I celebrated our 26th anniversary. It feels like the first year, doesn't it? So let me get through this story. So what was supposed to be a 15-minute meeting had turned into an hour-long conversation with Donald Trump. At the end of it all, the president rose, he shook our hands, he told me he would support me and endorse me. It was the greatest birthday gift I'd ever received. Really great. So, long story long, I spent my 52nd birthday in New York City with the greatest president. I'm spending my 55th birthday here in Glendale with all of you and the greatest president. And Arizona, I look forward to spending my 56th birthday in Washington, D.C. with the greatest president representing you, the greatest people in the entire country. Decades ago, like many of you, on my 18th birthday, I registered as a Republican, inspired by a man named President Ronald Reagan, whose very powerful words still guide us. I think one of his most famous speeches, he said, "You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness." That speech was called A Time for Choosing. And that's exactly where we stand at this moment. We're at a crossroads and we have a choice right now. We either save this country and our best days are ahead of us, or we plunge into 1,000 years of darkness. Guys, we're gonna save this country. Ronald Reagan spoke those words on behalf, did you know this? He spoke those words on behalf of Arizona's favorite son, Senator Barry Goldwater, a man whose Senate seat I would be honored to fill. I really would. The media, you know, back then the media called him extreme. The media called Reagan extreme. They called Trump extreme. They call me extreme. And they call each and every one of you extreme. Yep. Because we are on to their corrupt system. Can you imagine? Can you imagine calling a middle-aged mom like me a far-right extremist? She said, we love it. You know what? So far, I have been right about everything. And the only extreme thing about us and me is that I'm extremely worried about my children's future. I am. I'm extremely worried about what my opponent, Ruben Gallego, will do to the state that we love. I'm running against the most radical man to ever run for office in Arizona history. Have you seen Ruben's commercials? Honestly, they should come with a laugh track because they are an absolute joke. They really are. For a decade in Congress, this man was a card-carrying member of the Progressive Caucus, a man actually to the left of Bernie Sanders and to the left of the Squad. And now he's bombarding our airwaves with ads meant to make him look like a cross between Mr. Rogers and G.I. Joe. When in reality, he's just Nancy Pelosi with a scruffy beard. Now, guys, if you don't mind it, I'm about to lay out some hard truths about my opponent, Ruben Gallego. And I'm not telling you this to be mean, I'm really not. I'm telling you this because the people have got to know before they vote who this guy is. His ads leave out a whole lot of despicable treatment of women. His ads don't tell you that about the time that he harassed and threatened a 20-year-old female intern, and when she complained about it, she was fired. His ads don't tell you about the fact that his fellow Democrats down at the state legislature gave him the nickname the Troll because of how creepy and degrading he was with women. And his ads don't tell you about the time he told a Latina woman that because she was a Republican, she wasn't a real Latina. Can I hear it for our incredible conservative Latino women? We got a house full, including my daughter right down there. His ads don't tell you, frankly, about the most unforgivable act against a woman. When he walked out on his pregnant wife, when she was 9 months pregnant, days before she delivered their firstborn child, he served her papers and he ran off to sleep with a DC lobbyist. That's despicable. I can promise you, if Ruben Gallego will abandon his family to jump in bed with a lobbyist, he will abandon Arizona in favor of DC lobbyists every single vote. If his treatment of women isn't enough to keep him out of the US Senate, then his voting record ought to be. I want to talk about his votes. He supports open borders. He told donors, this is actually shocking, he told donors when it comes to the border, it's not his expertise. He called the border wall, which is keeping us safe in some areas, dumb and stupid. And he voted against the SAVE Act. That means he wants millions of illegals to vote in this upcoming November election. Bad idea, Ruben. He voted for sanctuary cities. He supports amnesty. He's weak on law and order. I don't even think he likes our police officers. He actually called them the bad guys. He did. The direct quote, in case the media wants to, fact check me, he said the bad guys are the ones behind the police line. How dare you, Ruben? How dare you? He marched in defund the police rallies, and then he threatened ICE agents. He's weak on the economy. He voted for legislation that resulted in this 40-year high inflation. That's why we can't afford anything. And when it came to the very short period of time that he worked in the private sector, he was a director for a bank that built immigrant families out of their life savings. And another company he worked for, under federal investigation during Ruben's time for Medicare fraud. Guys, I'm telling you all this because the fake news media won't cover him. Let me tell you, if I had one of those digs against me, they would be all up, all over it, and they won't cover him. If Ruben Gallego is willing to defraud Medicare, he's willing to cut Medicare. He ripped off our seniors before, he will do it again. I want you to know when it comes to Medicare and Social Security, our seniors paid into it and they lived up to their end of the deal. Uncle Sam needs to live up to his end of the deal. Let me be perfectly clear, when I'm in the US Senate, any politician that tries to lay a finger on your Medicare or your Social Security will have to go through me. And worse yet, they're going to have to go through President Trump, and that guy's bulletproof. Arizona, we've got to reject the dead-end Biden-Harris agenda that Ruben Gallego voted for 100% of the time. We can't take 4 more years of this. But the good news is we don't have to take 4 more years of it. The problems we face are massive, but the solutions are so simple. America First policies. Strong economy. Safe border, safe streets, energy dominance, record low inflation, mortgage rates, unemployment. When we win, we're going to bring back that hot job market that President Trump introduced. Frankly, the only people I want to see out of a job are the human smugglers, the drug smugglers, the child traffickers, the cartels, and I'd like to see the propagandists in the media on the unemployment line. Arizona, we deserve clean, safe, and secure neighborhoods. We deserve to be prosperous again, and our children deserve a shot at the American dream. And I'm going to be a little bit selfish right now. I'm not a career politician. I'm a mother of 2 beautiful children. My son is 19. Let's hear it for our boys. Our strong, young men, we need you guys. I'm worried about my son and daughter's future, and I'm worried about your future as well. I'm a fed-up mama bear who recognizes that President Trump is the only person who can lead us out of this nightmare and restore the American dream. And that's why we elected him in 2016 and in 2020. Are you ready to elect him again in 2024?
Arizona, vote Trump for president and Lake for U.S. Senate. We know President Trump stands for American greatness. I will stand for Arizona greatness. So here's my promise to you, starting on day one. I will work with President Trump to secure the border and finish the wall. That's right. That's right. From the Gulf Coast all the way to the Pacific Ocean. 16 million people have poured across our border during the Biden invasion. In order to save our homeland, we got to send them back to their homeland. We will begin the largest repatriation operation this world has ever seen. We will define the drug cartels. We will define the drug cartels as foreign terrorists, and we will use every ounce of energy our law enforcement and military has to put them out of business for good. That's how we end human smuggling. That's how we end child sex trafficking. And that is how we end the scourge of fentanyl. The #1 cause of death right now for our young people is fentanyl poisoning. Too many sons and daughters and sisters and brothers and loved ones are being wiped out by these cheap counterfeit poisonous pills. 290,000 young people are gone under border czar Kamala Harris and Ruben Gallego. Gone. Under their reign of incompetence, we've lost a generation of young Americans. This is our future. This generation is our future, and we want it to be strong. So my message to young voters, and they're all over this place, I will be your biggest advocate in Washington, D.C. I will do everything I can to help you guys start a family, own a home, and live the American dream. I have one favor to ask you, though. I want you guys, when you think of that American dream, to dream big, really, really big, okay? Because the future is going to be bright. The future coming your way is going to be very, very bright. Now, couple more promises. Before I vote on any legislation, first of all, I plan to read it, okay? And then I'm going to ask myself a few questions. Will this make Arizona safer, stronger, more affordable? Will it make our country more secure and prosperous? And is it constitutional? And if the answer is yes, 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 and yes, then I'm going to vote yes for it. It's pretty simple. I will support legislation that calls for the death penalty for any criminal who kills a police officer in the line of duty. And my message to law enforcement, any of you in this crowd, let me hear from you if you're in this crowd and you're law enforcement. And their families, any family of law enforcement here? I've got your back because you always have our back. I've got your back. And that's why the law enforcement unions around this state have endorsed me. Got a message to moms and dads. This one's really near to my heart. I will crack down on any school pushing gender insanity on our precious children. We're done. We're done. We're done. God
God did not put our kids in the wrong body. The people pushing this sickness are in the wrong job. I will support education that focuses on teaching the fundamentals along with skills training so our kids are ready for the jobs right out of high school. And I will help save girls' sports and save women's athletic scholarships. Girl power. Democrats always say, trust the science. Well, I do, and the science shows there's only 2 genders. Okay, finally, we're going to address the water issue in Arizona and the American Southwest. We're going to identify new sources of water and explore desalination options, including piping fresh water into the West. And we're going to make California do more to collect water runoff and snowmelt. Arizona's tired of being punished for California's recklessness. We need a return to common sense America First policies. We're going to take our first step toward that when we vote in Arizona. Ballots hit mailboxes October 9th. Yes, we have voting season here. And Election Day is November 5th. And we all have a part in saving America. Vote early if you want. Sign up to be a poll worker and a poll observer. Go to tpaction.com/100 and sign up to be a ballot chaser. Can you do that, guys? And if you know somebody who lives outside of Arizona who wants to come and help our state, Turning Point Action will pay for their hotel for the month of October so they can come in and chase ballots. Invite your friends in. We all have got to get involved. No one is too young, no one is too old. We welcome, and Charlie said it. By the way, is Charlie Kirk great? He's amazing. Charlie said it. We welcome all Republicans, independents and disaffected Democrats to this movement. It's called America First. We're not just Republicans first, we welcome everybody. This is about bringing America together. Our founding father, Benjamin Franklin, was 81 years old when he said, "We have a republic if you can keep it." We are in the if you can keep it part. And at 43 years old, John F. Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country." We got to step it up and save our country right now. And one of the greatest leaders in humankind who's about to take the stage always says, "Let's make America great again." We will do it. Arizona, vote Donald J. Trump for president. Vote Kari Lake for U.S. Senate. And vote Republican up and down that ballot. And when you do, we will make Arizona great again. We will make America great again. I love you all. God bless you. God bless President Trump. And God bless State 48.